Boxing King Media, Andy Clarke. Andy, we spoke a couple of days ago. I want to quickly shout out your missus's chocolate brand. If people have missed it, watch our interview from a couple of days ago. I understand the sales are flying in, and just let them know about the website again before we talk about the fight.
LocoCochocolate.com. Yeah, the power of Boxing King Media has had an effect. You had at least 200 quid's worth, I think, the other night, so that was good.
I'm happy for him, man. Well done. Let's talk about this fight. You said to me 70-30 Liam Smith. It was literally like opposite.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be honest, when I said 70-30, I felt like I was probably being a bit generous towards EUBANK, because that first fight was just so comprehensive, and it's so hard to come back from that. I've been talking to fighters about this a lot recently, and it's brutal when you go straight back in with someone who's just stopped you, particularly if it's the first time you've been stopped, and particularly if it's happened late in your career. To recover from it early in the career is hard enough, but when it's late like that, you know, I mean, I absolutely take my hat off to him. I thought he was superb from the beginning. Tactics on point, executed well, wanted the finish obviously, didn't need it, wanted the finish and got it. I think there was an issue with Liam Smith's ankle. I kind of noticed early in the fight it sort of flexed and gave underneath him a little bit, and there's maybe a little bit of an issue with both of them at one point, but that's the game. You know, what happens in there when the bell goes, it certainly wasn't the result of any kind of a foul, so you know, you can never complain about that, and I'm sure I didn't hear what he said at the end, but I'd imagine he didn't. And it's one apiece, and that's not what we thought would happen.
Well, I spoke to a lot of experts. I tell you, the only person that picked EUBANK to win was Paulie Malignaggi, and I think his reasoning was, he said up until the knockdown, Chris was dominating the fight. That's what he felt from the first fight. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think he was before the knockdown in the first fight. There wasn't much in the first couple of rounds, and then he definitely won the third, and then it was over. So I never really kind of take much from someone was winning if you get stopped in the fourth. You know, it's just so early, and he made a good start again tonight. And I don't think the Smith corner were particularly panicked at, you know, EUBANK being 3 up after 3 rounds, say. But George made a point on commentary, George Groves, that if you start a little bit slow, it can be really, really hard to pick it up. And EUBANK just established a rhythm and got on top of it, and just never ever let up. And he looked like he had trust in that chin, which you would have to wonder about if you were him. He'll say that he didn't, because obviously that's what makes these lads what they are, is that they, you know, the confidence is unbelievable. But he would have had to have wondered. And yeah, it just makes fools of us all, this sport. There's nothing better. I never give predictions, but I'll admit now that if I'd had to put my house on it, I'd have picked Liam Smith, and I'd have picked him pretty confidently. There's nothing better than being wrong. Nothing better.
What next for both men? Because I've heard some people are saying Liam should maybe call it a day. What do you think?
It kind of depends what happened, really. I know there was a bit of an injury problem that he had to work through during camp. Like in the first fight, for example, EUBANK intimated that things weren't right in the build-up and behind the scenes, and that had an effect on him, and cutting the weight and not doing it right and all that kind of thing. And we didn't really listen. We just kind of thought, well, it's excuses. But these things are real. You know, things could be going on in your personal life as a fighter. You know, they're not machines, these people. So if there were things going on, you know, that we don't know about, either physically or mentally, that he can put right, then, you know, we could see a different guy next time. It's only back in January that he looks absolutely supersonic, and that he was going to kick onto another level in his career. You know, things change very, very quickly, and you've always got to be mindful of that.
What about Chris? What do you think? Who should he aim for next?
Well, he's never won a world title. I mean, he did have some great rankings at middleweight. I don't really know what his rankings are now. I think he's pretty much dropped out of all of the top 15s. I think he might still be in there with the WBC. Quite high, actually. I think he might be at 4 with the WBC. And it's kind of in a state of flux, that division. You know, Alan Cannoni's unifying against Vincenzo Gualtieri, who won the IBF that Golovkin vacated. You've got Jamal Charlo with the WBC. You know, there's stuff going on in that division.
Surely Conor Benn's the guy. That's the fight.
Yeah, I know. People always talk about that, but until he's got his licence back, it's just not realistic, is it? It's not realistic. But I understand that people will always talk about it. And with EUBANK, what does he want to do? Does he want to Does he want to make more money? Does he want another big money fight? Couldn't blame him if he did. That's what this is about, after all, is prize fighting. Or does he think to himself, I've still got it in me to win that world title. I want to do that before I hang them up.
Definitely so. Andy, it's been a pleasure. Nice speaking to you, and lococochocolate.com.
Keep those orders flooding in, baby.